Hey, welcome into the Snap Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Mac, and we're going through Week 10 waivers. Lots went on this week. There were a couple injuries, there was a couple changing of the guards, and we're here to tell you the players that you need going into potentially the most important waiver week of the year, your trade deadline. Trade deadlines are this week in most leagues, so make sure that you check into Yahoo or Sleeper or ESPN, wherever you play, with your commissioner and say, when is my trade deadline and when do I need to make the trades by? Some are before the waiver period ends. Some are when the games end on week 10. So make sure you know those details as you're heading into your trade deadline. All right, number one, big piece of news. Christian McCaffrey this week came back, was fantastic. However, may have suffered another injury. Christian McCaffrey, I think, scored about 32 fantasy points, was fantastic on the ground, through the air, but fell on his shoulder in the fourth quarter. Looks like an AC joint sprain, which is typically about a 2 to 3 week recovery period. So Christian McCaffrey, for you owners out there, you might be without him for a couple weeks. We're still waiting on results, but as of right now, it might be a couple weeks. Mike Davis, yes, he is rostered in 73% of leagues. However, he was dropped in 20% of leagues last week. So if he was dropped in your league, it might be time to pick him up. Weeks 2 through 8, when Mike Davis was a starter, was the running back 7, averaging almost 15 fantasy points per game. So see if Mike Davis was dropped, go out and get him. I'd be willing to spend anywhere up to 15 to 20% to bridge that gap over the next 2 to 3 weeks because we know Mike Davis can be an every week starter for you. So go ahead, scoop him up if you are fortunate in one of those leagues. I'm going to go with a guy that I really like who's only 24% owned, and that's Jalen Reagor, rookie wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles. He came back from IR, caught a touchdown. Only 3 targets. It was low volume, but he caught a touchdown, 2-point conversion. And with Deshaun Jackson and Zach Ertz still being out of lineup for a couple weeks, I think this is a perfect opportunity for Reagor, now back and healthy, ready to assert his dominance on this Eagles wide receiving core, which is really just the emergence of Travis Fulgham and now hopefully a deep shot in Jalen Reagor. He has hooked up with Carson Wentz on several occasions downfield, and he does provide a big playability to your roster. So if you need a boom play, go with Jalen Reagor. I like him as a flex play in the next coming weeks. I'd be playing him over guys like John Brown, Michael Gallup, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, or Laviska Shenault. He's been averaging in the games he's played more points per game than those guys, but that's the range of players that I'm looking for. Another wide receiver that I'm looking to add speculatively is Curtis Samuel. He's only 36% owned across Yahoo and Sleeper leagues. He's been the wide receiver 9 over the last 3 weeks. That is comprised of opportunities of 20 targets, 7 carries, that's averaging out to 9 touches per game. And when you go back and you watch the tape on the Carolina Panthers, yes, they prioritize the run, whether it's Mike Davis or Christian McCaffrey. They want to get the ball on the ground. They want to set up the screen game. They want to let their guys work. They're also willing to let guys that are athletic like Curtis Samuel, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson take the ball out of the backfield on swings, jet sweeps, and try to pick up yardage that way as well. However, you watch the tape, they're spreading the ball around, but Curtis Samuel and Robbie Anderson are both beneficiaries of DJ Moore getting top coverage. Look, for you DJ Moore owners out there, it's tough right now. Go back and watch the tape from last week's game. Teddy Bridgewater missed DJ Moore twice on a clear touchdown. He had beaten one-on-one coverage on the outside, missed him, instead targeted Samuel or Robbie Anderson on slant routes or fade routes. But they are picking up the intermediate pieces of the field, the shorter routes. They're making their hay off of that. So Curtis Samuel, I'd be looking to add him anywhere from 5 to 10% of my budget, and why not take a shot? Another guy that I think is being forgotten about is Austin Hooper at the tight end position. 5% of my budget would go to Austin Hooper. I don't think you need to spend much considering they're coming off a bye week, and Austin Hooper's coming off of the IR. He had an emergency appendectomy, the removing of his appendix. 41% owned. Some nice things to see. 46% of the Cleveland Browns tight end sets right now make up their plays. They're featuring 2 or more tight ends almost 50% of the time. And 8 of 15 of Baker Mayfield's touchdown passes have been to the tight end position between David Njoku, Austin Hooper, and Harrison Bryant. Cleveland is also 4th in red zone scoring at 76%. So all signs kind of lead to Austin Hooper being somewhat relevant in his return. I would look to put a little bit of money on Austin Hooper, who could potentially make a difference for you at the tight end position. Guys that are on waiver this week that I don't really think warrant your attention, I would let your league mates pick them up and stay clear. 1, Jordan Wilkins. Coming off their bye week, we thought, hey, Jonathan Taylor might get the nod, might get the work that we think he deserves, and it was really an equal timeshare between Wilkins, Hines, and Taylor. Taylor did score the touchdown. However, Jordan Wilkins led the team in carries. I don't believe in Jordan Wilkins. I believe in Jonathan Taylor. Long term, I'm looking to put my chips on him. I'm not willing to waste any fab on Jordan Wilkins. Another guy, look, here's another player that has been released from the grasp, the chokehold, the death grip that is Adam Gase. However, Kalen Ballage, I don't believe, coming up from the practice squad, having a decent performance is going to be an every week occurrence for your fantasy team. And between Tremaine Pope, Josh Kelly, Justin Jackson, who is going to be the guy that steps up until Austin Ekeler can return? I don't know, and I'm not willing to bet on that. If I was, it would be Justin Jackson or Josh Kelly, but we've seen Tremaine Pope and now Kalen Ballage eat into this workload and be really wild cards. I can't chase points. I'm not willing to spend fab on something that may or may not pan out. So for that reason, I'm out on this backfield until a guy named Austin Ekeler returns. And a little bit of an injury update on that. It looks like it's going to be another 2 weeks before Austin Ekeler gets onto the field. Dr. Jesse Morse from the Fantasy Doctors gave an update last week on Austin Ekeler's injury. A grade 3 hamstring strain is nothing to be taken lightly. Basically, he had tendons almost come off the bone. And when you're talking an injury that serious, you're talking about a long recovery period. He has been doing some work with some anti-gravity machines, which are very rare, but making good progress. However, really high chance of re-injury on these injuries. So it looks like maybe a week 12 return makes the most sense for him. They will play the Bills that week. However, week 11, they're going to play the Jets. Probably don't need Austin Ekeler in that matchup. But here's the picture I want to paint for Austin Ekeler owners, and maybe this is something to be weary of going into your trade deadline. Maybe try to trade him. The Chargers are right now 2-6. If they lose one of the next 2 games, they sit at 3-7. 3-7. I think they can beat the Jets without him, but 3-7. Do they really need Austin Ekeler being 4th in their division, not contending for a playoff spot? There is a case to be made that Austin Ekeler doesn't get himself back on the football field in a lost season. So I don't really know what to make of that situation, but I'm not willing to put any money down on Tremaine Pope, on Kalen Ballage as the primary carriers. So hopefully that helps you out, guys. If there's anybody that we missed or that you are saying, hey, should I pick up so-and-so, should I take a shot on this person, hit us up in the comments or get us on social media at snap_fantasy on Instagram, on Twitter. And as always, a like or subscription goes a long way. We appreciate you guys. Get us in the comments and we will see you throughout the week. Good luck this week on your waivers and make those big time trades to help you win another fantasy championship. Take care.